For thousands of generations, the gunslingers were knights, sworn to protect us from the coming of the dark.
Well, Hollywood loves nothing better than a good franchise, a movie they can make over and over and over again, a la Harry Potter or any number of superhero stories like The Dark Knight. Now, Stephen King used to be the master of the universe in terms of Hollywood adaptations of his books. It seems like every book he wrote was turned into a movie. It's been a little quiet lately on that front, but he's back with a vengeance as Hollywood has now decided to turn his book series, The Dark Tower, into their next big hope for the next big franchise, or at least this one little very compact hour-and-a-half movie that has been made of The Dark Tower finally, after years and years of trying by major filmmakers. J.J. Abrams was involved initially, then it turned to Ron Howard, who had big plans for not only movie versions but also a television component. That fell by the wayside. Howard is still on board as one of the producers here, but the movie was ultimately directed by the Danish Helmer, who was nominated for an Oscar for The Royal Affair in the foreign language category a few years ago. His name is Nicolas Arcel. He co-wrote this with Akiva Goldsman.
These visions, as you call them.
What do you see?
I see a tower, a man in black, and the gunslinger.
They're just dreams. They're not real, Jake.
I have not read any of the Stephen King books in the Dark Tower series, so I was coming in cold, and I have to just say, does it work as a movie for me or not? Well, I was confused as to what all the mythology was here. The Dark Tower is this kind of mythical thing out there that controls all of existence, and there is good versus evil in trying to save it or take it over. Now, the good part is the gunslinger, also known as Roland Deschain. He's played by Idris Elba. The best reason I can recommend this movie is to see Idris Elba in this role. He's kind of like channeling almost Clint Eastwood's Man with No Name. He's an imposing figure and a terrific character. He holds this movie together even if you don't know what's going on at any given point. He's teamed up with young Jake. Jake is a 11-year-old kid living now in New York City who's haunted by visions of this fantasy world. It's called Midworld and the Dark Tower, and he doesn't know why he is suddenly the chosen one, but chosen he is, and thrust into this fantasy that any 11-year-old would kill for, and he literally does here, and teamed with the gunslinger here to try to save the Dark Tower, to get to what they call End World, to the Dark Tower, and save it from the Man in Black, a sorcerer also known as Walter O'Dim, played to the hilt by Matthew McConaughey, who seems to revel in playing evil and mean, and a guy who's out for his own goals here, which are no good, believe me. He wants to get to the Dark Tower too and rule over its fiefdom for all kinds of bad reasons.
He's like the devil, isn't he?
No, he's worse.
You can't stop what's coming. Death always wins.
It's a chase movie, really, more than anything else, as they flip from zone to zone and all over the place with the help of a lot of CGI here. The movie is entertaining as far as it goes, I thought. You know, it certainly will work for younger audiences, particularly fans of the books, to see how Hollywood has dealt with this very ambitious book series that King whipped up. We'll see. You know, it's obviously taken a long time to get to the screen. I say give it a shot if you're a fan of Stephen King, if you're a fan of this kind of fantasy world a la Lord of the Rings. That's clearly what they're going for here. Sometimes you get magic in a bottle, sometimes you don't. In this case, the movie's okay. I think it's going to pretty much come and go and may not be the key to a long-running franchise that the studio, Sony Pictures in this case, finally had hoped. But certainly they got it on the screen, and they have Idris Elba, who is worth the price of admission. It's great to see that kind of casting, and him in this movie. He is a movie star and always watchable on screen. For that reason, Idris Elba fans, Stephen King fans, I say go.